the House of L, everybody. I'm Derek. I am excited as our Summer of Superman specials continue leading up to July 11th for the new James Gunn Superman film. And tonight, I have three special guests with me. They are the host of the FOLCs Forever, which is fans of Lois and Clark to the uneducated. The FOLCs Forever podcast, Jenn, Julie, and Molly. Thank you, all three, so much for joining me. It's been a while since we've had this many people in the House of L. We're having to fit everybody in a tight little window here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Don't worry about talking over each other. It's something that happens here. We just go with it. Okay, so I've been listening. You guys are a few episodes in now to your podcast, and I have listened and thoroughly enjoyed, because I don't know if you can tell from the everything behind me or the 20 years of doing a Superman podcast. I'm a huge Superman fan, but I'm also a huge Lois Lane fan. Specifically, Teri's Lois Lane, because Teri's Lois made me want to become a newspaper reporter. That from a very young age, which I did become. And but I wanted to work in that specific Daily Planet, and I wanted that specific Perry White to be my boss. And none of those things actually happened. But I owe a lot. I owe a lot of my fandom to Lois and Clark, despite the fact I was a huge fan before the show ever aired. I grew up with the refilms. I grew up with watching George Reeves' Adventures of Superman on Nick at Night as a kid on the weekends. So, but come time for the pilot of Lois and Clark, I was ready. I was so excited for that, and was a huge fan through all 4 seasons. Is that how? I know the three of you are lifelong friends now, but this is when the interview portion begins. Is that how the three of you met, because of the show, or were you friends previous to that? Whoever wants to take that one.
Yeah,
We'll go with Jenn.
Oh, Jenn, do you want to do it?
Oh no, Molly's great at talking about this.
I remember this part. She's good at the podcast stuff. I'm good at the how we met stuff. No, we didn't actually meet, and we didn't actually meet until after the show ended. Okay. We were all online, and I became friends with Julie. I separately became friends with Jenn, and then we connected all together on LiveJournal back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
Migrated over to Facebook and have been keeping up a Lois and Clark group ever since. And we've traveled together, gone to the Warner Brothers lot and seen Lois and Clark sites together. And now we're doing the podcast.
That's fantastic. So after having been fans for so long, what made you want to start a podcast about the show?
So we've kind of had in our group chat, we've been talking about starting a podcast. We talk about it together all the time anyway. So I don't know exactly what triggered it, but it was a couple years ago during a summer. We just kind of started talking about, hey, if we did do a podcast, maybe we could do something like, and then we'd bring up ideas. But it was kind of just always in the back of our heads for the last 2 years. And we've kind of been slowly coming up with ideas and whatever. And as, the last year has kind of come upon us, we were like, maybe we should just do it. And I think Julie finally went on a podcast. She was kind of the one that was like, I'm not quite ready yet. And she finally did it. And she's like, she came back after doing it. She goes, that was kind of fun. I think I'm in. So we just kind of took all of our notes over the years and we started up right away before any of us could back out.
Now, Julie, you have a Lois and Clark museum in your home.
It is basically a museum.
I would be willing to bet the largest collection of Lois and Clark memorabilia and crew-related items and props in the world. I don't know if you've called Guinness
possibly.
Yet, but I could.
It possibly could be. I have a lot.
I'll call witness to that. But you were the holdout on the podcast with having being so engrossed in it in your home, you didn't want to do it.
I was. Yes, I was. I was a very big chicken about the whole thing. I was like, absolutely not going to do it. No. I'm such an introverted person, and I said, there's no way. But I did agree to get onto somebody's podcast about Lois and Clark, and I was like, okay. I had so much fun, and then that same day I was like, okay, I'll give in. I'll do it. But yeah, It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
you guys have a great dynamic together. I've really enjoyed listening. Of course, it doesn't hurt that I love the show, so it's fun to reminisce. We've been doing some Lois and Clark recaps over on our Patreon, so I'm excited to have the three of you on our main feed to remind everybody about why it's such a fantastic show. So let's go backwards then from where we just went. And Julie, what is your introduction to Superman and Lois Lane?
I think probably it was Lois and Clark. Teri Hatcher was definitely my introduction. Since then, obviously, I've watched the original Superman. I even watched Superman, the Mole Man today for some stupid reason. I don't know. I went back and watched it. But yeah, I've pretty much watched everything since then. But I think basically it was Teri Hatcher who got me really into loving just the character of Lois Lane and Superman.
It doesn't hurt that she is definitely never had a bad Lois, but I maintain that, but definitely she is on the Mount Rushmore of Lois Lanes. Jen, what about you? What was your first steps?
So my dad pulled me aside when Lois and Clark premiered, and he's like, there's this new show that I really want to watch. Will you watch it with me? And I was like, Superman, whatever. I was 13 and I was like, I'm not super interested, but whatever, I'll give it a try. And I think that was basically my introduction to Superman and Lois and all of the things. So from there, I kind of backpedaled and I watched some of the old Christopher Reeve movies and Margot Kidder. And nothing kind of struck me as much as Lois and Clark did. So that is my, that's my holy grail right there. But
Absolutely.
I appreciate all of the Lois and Clarks. I've tried them over the years. I can't get into any series like Lois and Clark. So
really,
yeah,
okay, yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that and circle back to it. Molly, what about you?
Well, so I used to watch Super Friends when I was really young, and later on Superboy. So as I told them during one of our episodes, when Lois and Clark was being advertised, I was skeptical and I was like, not another Superman thing back in '93. I already thought there were too many. Of course, I was wrong. Any more Superman things? Come, let me see them.
Yes.
I did end up watching it. I didn't get hooked quite as fast as the two of them, but by the end of the first season, I was on board.
You were hooked with it then. So, what's the memory of the three of you kind of? I mean, do you have I'm sure you can't remember the first time you were all messaging. I don't know, you might. But as far as what kind of intersected the three of you in the message boards or wherever you were talking at that time?
Well, so Julie and I would talk on IRC. This was probably in 1998 to 1999.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we would get on there and just have these long, 4 hours per night sessions of just chatting, sometimes about Lois and Clark, sometimes about other things.
I may let our millennial social media guy inject a, hey kids, here's what IRC was for our younger listeners.
Julie and I were both at this event in 1999 where Dean Cain was there. So we met each other at the same time we met Dean. That was this whole big thing. Jenn and I became friends because I found her through AOL. On her profile, it said she was from my area. She liked Lois and Clark too. So we connected. Emailing, what was it? AIM?
Mm-hmm.
Instant Messenger, yes. Yeah. Did a lot of that, did a lot of chat rooms back in the day. So it was always Lois and Clark, plus, some other stuff. We liked Titanic, and we liked, some other things together, but...
Of the 90s.
Gosh.
Take me back. Take me back.
Nostalgia.
So that was, you said in the area, so how, you don't have to specifically say where, obviously, but as far as being spread out, are you all three pretty far from one another?
So Julie is in Ohio. So she is far, far, far away from us. And Molly and I are on the West Coast. We are both in Portland, Oregon, or suburbs. So we're very close. Within like about a half an hour of each other.
Oh, that's not, okay. Fantastic. Right? So that's
half
good. That's good. Our co-hosts are spread out everywhere, across the world, really. But we get together at least once a year, and we all go on a trip together somewhere.
Nice.
Usually something Superman related. I don't know if you could probably guess that or not, but yeah, more often than not. But but we're actually getting to do 2 trips this year because we are hosting a screening of the film in Cleveland,
Saw
Ohio.
Nice.
So fun.
On opening night for the Siegel and Schuster Society. So we're all making the trek for that, or at least a great number of us are.
That's so fun. I would love to go to that.
Come on. You're in the area, right?
I am in Ohio, yes.
There you go. There you go.
Go, Julie.
There's actually the city's doing, not to digress, but the city's doing a whole lot of, they're doing like a Superman homecoming weekend to celebrate their hometown son. So there's going to be like events all day Saturday. I'm hosting panels for writers that are going to be in town, but I don't know who the writers are yet, so don't hold me to that. But I do know Brian Michael Bendis, who is a Superman writer, DC writer. He's going to be at the screening, and we're doing a live podcast after the movie in front of the audience. And hopefully people will stay in the audience, not get up and leave when it's over with. But we'll see.
They'll stay.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but that's how you plug something. Sorry.
Nice.
So obviously getting to be in this fandom for amount of years, because I just feel old if I say how long it's been since this show has been on. I seriously, literally was looking at something the other day. Julie may have this. I was filing a bunch of old magazines, and it was there was a Superman Batman magazine, and they had a Lois and Clark themed issue, and I was putting it away. I think after we had all talked about doing this, and I looked at the mail date on it, and I was like, my back. I could feel every nerve in my back just tighten up a little bit, and
exactly
need a daily Advil.
Absolutely.
Such as being a fan of things that are showing their age. And I don't have, of course, I don't have as much as Julie. Nobody has as much as Julie, but I have some things. I have the VHS tapes somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
nice.
Obviously the DVDs. I'm very excited the Blu-ray is coming out. I'm very excited for the three of you that the Blu-ray is coming out, because you can watch it in higher definition now than I'm sure you already are. I still have episodes taped off of ABC.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is sad to admit, but I do.
Same.
Molly, what was your, obviously you were not, it took you longer to get involved or to fall for the show than the other two, but what made you finally open up to it?
Well, I watched part of the pilot. I remember being scared off by the scene with Lex Luthor and the snake. I left the room, didn't come back. I think I must have been doing other things as a kid on Sunday nights while my mom watched it. So it finally took me actually walking into the room and seeing what was on the TV. And I think I got hooked pretty quick after I started peeking in and seeing what was going on. So about halfway through this season, I was like, this is interesting. Oh, look, this is fun. And by the end of the season, I was sold.
It didn't hurt that the two leads were also very good looking people.
Their chemistry.
And great chemistry.
Yeah.
Some of the most sexually charged Lois and Clark we've had on screen before, rivaled by Tom Welling and Erica Durance only, really. But what about you, Jen? What won you over with the series after you caved in with your dad?
Well, it wasn't too. I mean, after looking back at how the episodes aired, I think it was maybe the second. Was it the second or third episode, which was the airplane one, where they're in the airplane and Lois. So it's the second one, and Lois gets thrown out of the plane. That was the one that I was like, oh, those two characters like each other. They're really cute. They don't like each other, but they do like each other. So, I mean, there was the rivals, enemies to lovers thing that I think kind of hooked me in. And I was like, I was 13, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. I kind of like it. Maybe I'll give this show a chance.
What about you, Julie?
Very similar to Jen. It was basically the chemistry. It really hit me even just from the very beginning. I started recording from the very first episode. I was very hooked from the first one on. Just the chemistry between them. That's what hooked me.
It's an easy thing to do with the two of them. They had it in spades, which is why I think the show was able to run as long as it did in that era of ABC and what was on television at the time before it went full moonlighting. Which I love moonlighting. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean by that. We all know how that show ended. So, um, are okay. Then I'm going to pivot back to Jen because your podcast coming out at a very auspicious time here, matter of weeks of months before the new movie's coming. But you're not sold on other iterations always. So what's your take on the latest, or are you even paying
I'm
attention to it?
so excited for this
Yes.
movie.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I just don't think any other show or, it just doesn't compare to me. Like, that is just my holy grail. I love Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman 90s version, but I do appreciate the other ones. It's just nothing has kind of got its hook in me like that version. I am so excited for the new movie coming out. I'm hoping to see it opening weekend, but I have no idea yet. So we'll see. I want to play it cool, see what happens. But yes, I'm very excited.
Good. Molly, you excited? Not excited?
I'm holding back because of Man of Steel and that what went down with that.
Okay.
Back in 2006, I was all in for Superman Returns. Loved it. Man of Steel kind of shook me a little bit. However, I have been listening to podcasts, Superman podcasts. I've been getting some info. So while I'm just like kind of, I don't want to get hurt again, is what I'm saying.
I understand.
But look, if they say it's good, I'll go.
I fully respect that as somebody that is a diehard Superman Returns defender. I fully understand having the rug pulled out from up under you time and time again, such as being a Superman fan. We always say on this show that if you're a Batman fan, you feast, but if you're a Superman fan, it's famine. Because that is the case. But we have been eating well the past couple of years. Thankfully, Superman and Lois was keeping things alive for us, and now we've got this. Julie, are you excited for what's coming down the pipeline?
Very excited about the movie. I already have my tickets. Yay!
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Very excited. I actually got to go on the set, walk the streets when the planet was up, the globe, and had photos, in front of the burger place and all that stuff. It was so much fun. So that got me all excited about the movie. I'm one who also I loved Superman Returns. I was one who also love it, still defend it, still like it. Man of Steel, I watched it, I've seen it more than once. Probably won't see it again. I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea, I guess. It was too dark. There was no chemistry, I felt, between the characters. So this one, I just feel like the trailer and everything that's coming out, it just seems more positive, exciting, bright, hopeful. So yeah, very excited about this one. Hopefully it gets it. Get it right this time, please.
Get it, please. Please. We're begging you.
Please.
We are begging you.
Plus, there's crypto. You can't go wrong with crypto.
There he is. Hey, buddy.
I want that so badly. That's the one I want.
It just ended up with me yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
So, I'm holding out for the Daily Planet news box.
That's what I want to. I want that one too.
That one looks fantastic. Speaking
that one's
as
just Canada, right?
Favorite reporter. So AMC apparently is going to have it too.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Canada announced, the Canadian chain announced it, and now AMC is going to have it. So very excited for that one. And so as far as other iterations go, you're all naming films. What about TV wise? Was anybody a large Superman and Lois fan?
We all liked My Adventures with Superman.
Okay.
And I think we all watched Smallville for a few seasons. At least I did. I think Jen did.
Yes.
I did watch all of Smallville, yes.
Okay.
I liked Superman and Lois too.
Did you?
I didn't get into that one.
I watched a few.
Lois
and Clark, but
yeah.
I did like it.
That's one thing that these characters have going for it, is there are so many different versions of them at the core. At their core, they all mean the same thing. But I think that's what has been fantastic to, especially doing this podcast for the last 20 years, see where people jumped on the train at, so to speak, because and now hosting panels and doing all these things and talking to fans, it's really fascinating to hear the backstory, which is why I kind of wanted to interview you three out of the gate, because I love hearing how people were introduced. And it's always, I mean, there's a through line, but everybody's got a different story, obviously. And so while two people may have both met because of Lois, or fell in love with Lois and Clark, the ramifications or what was born out of that is a totally different story. So it's always really fascinating me to hear that, because I am such a lover of these characters and very protective of these characters, because I feel they need to be protected, because they haven't always been protected very well over the years. So that's why I like hearing those stories, because everything's not for everybody. A lot of people that we started as a Smallville podcast when Smallville was still on. So a lot of people came to us from that, and that was their jumping on point. And the creators of Smallville always called it the dad-daughter show. The dads watched because it was Smallville, and the daughters watched because Tom Welling was hot.
Yeah.
And my memory was also kind of that with Lois and Clark too. The daughters were watching because the daughters and probably a good number of sons were watching because of Dean Cain.
Yeah.
And the dads were watching, no doubt, because of Superman. But it's, for all its cheese and all its glitz and glamour that the show had over 4 seasons, it really and specifically, I feel like, and I hear this a lot from fans I talk to that are women, this was their jumping on point. It did so much for bringing ladies into this fandom of these two characters.
Absolutely. I remember back when, you'd hit the AOL chat rooms right after an episode, and those chat rooms were full of, girls, 13 and up, or, even younger, like 9 and up. We'd all be, congregating and talking about, oh, did you see the show tonight? What did you think? And, you're chatting back and forth, and it's like the early days of the internet. I mean, I had always, growing up, associated Superman equals that's for boys. And, and that's kind of why initially when I was introduced to it and my dad said, do you want to watch the show with me? I was like, I don't know if it's really something that I would be interested in. So, I mean, it's for everyone though. And you're right. It might be this show that brings someone in, and it might be another one, but I certainly think that Lois and Clark did a service for, especially with the Lois Lane, Teri Hatcher that they had. I think she was a strong, independent woman that girls could look up to. Like, I think I went through a phase where I'm like, oh, I want to be a reporter. I didn't go down that path, but I mean, she was a symbol for a lot of girls.
You made a smart choice.
I know.
I say, personally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You made a smart choice. But no, it's true, because I hate the term damsel in distress, but Phyllis Coates, Noelle Neal, the Fleischer cartoons, Lois was always needing to be saved more often than not. Now, that does not mean she was not a very strong character in her own right, which she always has been since 1938. And she can wield a Tommy gun in those Fleischer cartoons, or I think Noelle Neal wielded one in Adventures of Superman too. But it really, I think Teri reintroduced that character for a new generation more than I would say Dean did for his Clark or his Superman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See if anybody wants to speak to that.
And we've recorded 8 episodes at this point, and I've noticed several of them have had really strong female characters just as villains or just as side characters, something I didn't really pay attention to before. I remember Carol Sherman in Green Green Glow of Home, and Tony Taylor in I've Got a Crush on You. These are really well-rounded, thought-out women characters. And of course, the show was at this time created by Deborah Joy Levine, and female, of course, obviously, but, and strong strong writing skills. I mean, she was amazing.
So much of what the show became, but I also don't think we would have gotten the Teri and the Dean that we got in that alternate universe. I sing Deborah's praises all the time, especially on this podcast, because I think I don't think we would have had a Smallville without a Lois and Clark, and I say that about every other iteration. There wouldn't have been a Superman and Lois without a Smallville, and but it's definitely true. I think for the modern era, it's weird to think about, and you all were talking about this in your last episode. I think how it was only 6-7 years removed from Superman 4, which is just wild to think about.
Yeah.
In terms of time shifting and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
from 1987 forward, it wasn't that far apart. It seemed that way to me. Those movies seemed much, much older to me, even at that age. I'm pretty sure I saw Superman 4 in theaters. Don't quote me on that. I think so. Far too young to have remembered that at the time. Now I'm far too old to remember it at all. But it being, prime time, Sunday night, ABC time slot, a Superman and Lois show, wild to think about. But I think so much of where we are at now with those characters is because of Lois and Clark. What are some memories you have of either your own personal fandom or just the fandom at large, because you guys were so intertwined in it during the time period? Do you have very specific memories from like all 4 seasons of big moments, the engagement, who's asking Clark or Superman, Ultra
Oh, yeah.
Woman? I maintain that it's been a disservice that Tempest has not been brought back as a villain in some other iteration by this point. I think he would have been fantastic in
Mm.
multiple times. But what are some key moments for you each from those 4 years? Molly,
Definitely the one you
Sorry.
mentioned, who's asking Clark or Superman, and
Yeah.
that was exactly 30 years ago this summer, when we all spent 4 months wondering what is
Crazy.
she just
Molly.
said Clark
part
now.
out so I don't feel as ancient.
Good night, everyone. We had to wait all those months to find out what was going to happen. That was just an iconic summer. And then, of course, when it came back, we got our answer, this whole new era. And then Teri's haircut, that was a huge deal.
Yes.
Yep.
Lois's haircut. What else, you guys?
I remember the arc, the amnesia arc, was a struggle.
Arc.
That was a hard one to get through. Like every morning I'd go into the library before school, because that's where the friends congregated, and they knew on Monday mornings we were going to talk about Lois and Clark, and it was during that time period that I was like, I'm good. We don't need to talk about it today. We'll circle back, but
we'll circle back.
Yeah.
What about you, Julie?
Yeah, definitely the amnesia was a rough time, but we got through it. But yeah.
I remember. I mean, I remember I remember the pilot airing and sitting there watching it. And there's several episodes throughout its run that I can vividly, or probably if you would ask me 3 or 4 years ago, more vividly. But now that we're over the hill, it's becoming harder to retain some things. But I remember very specific moments and where I was sitting or what I was doing. And it being Sunday night, I remember we just re-recorded it a lot. For whatever reason, I feel like we would come in after it was like 20 minutes started, and we, had to start back from there. God, if we had the technology we have now. That's another thing I wanted to ask you, though, because it is funny to me how the three of you intersected. It's weird how the future changes, but times don't really change, because you talking on instant messenger or messenger boards about the show in the early 90s to talking on like Krypton site and the forums like that for Smallville in the early 2000s, and then the advent of Twitter and MySpace, and now it's everywhere, for better or worse. But uh, I can't go anywhere right now without seeing the new film being discussed on the internet. I feel like that logo's everywhere. I feel like David and Rachel are everywhere. Doesn't hurt that the global tour is going on right now, and they're probably dog tired. God bless them. They're going to be really tired by the premiere night of the premiere in a week. But does that kind of humor you all to see similar patterns in people in TV shows? And we have so many. I know probably more on Twitter. I refuse to call it X than Instagram. Um, that just the early 20s now, but just started watching Smallville. And
Wow.
that's how they've come to us. And but now that they've finished Smallville, I've seen a lot of them go for Lois and Clark, and I feel like there's a new crop of Lois and Clark accounts popping up all the time, be it for gifs or just out of context clips or stuff like that. And I don't
It's
know, it
cool.
fascinates me, but it may
Uh-huh.
not be the same way for the three of you.
I feel like back in the day, I mean, there was only, AOL, CompuServe, Prodigy. And so there was only one place you could go, whereas now I feel like it's so vast. I mean, you can go on Instagram and follow the people, the cast members, and you can go on Facebook, or I don't know, you can go on X or Twitter, and there's websites everywhere. I feel like it's just way bigger. It's like a bigger
Hmm.
scene now. But yeah, it is interesting to see how that kind of changes over the years.
It's
It's more
easier.
connected now
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Again, for
because,
better or worse.
well, if you had CompuServe back then, you talked with the people on the forum, your Lois and Clark forum, and the AOL people talked on their forum. And there'd be like one person who was wealthy enough to have both things, and they would go back and forth and say, well, here's what's going on in AOL for you guys over here. And that was the only way we could communicate, except for IRC if you popped on there. But it's like, once the internet became a more cohesive thing, and suddenly I'm making friends with all the AOL people, and then I meet Jenn, and we're all a big family. And all these, if there are new people coming aboard, yay, welcome. I'm excited to have you come on board and watch the show, and that's great.
Hopefully
Yeah,
love it as
absolutely.
much as everyone
I
else.
know.
Yes, yes. And I've
Yeah, and
I've really
hopefully,
enjoyed getting to see people who did come on because either of the new movie or Smallville or Superman and Lois that are trying out other versions and keeping an open mind, because it's really hard, I've noticed, to convince a 20-year-old to go back and watch a show from 1993, um for them to have a positive take on it, more or less, because
Yeah.
the term
But the
cringe
90s are coming
thrown around.
back. So give
The
it a
90s
try,
are coming
guys.
back.
Give it a
The
try.
90s,
Yeah.
and it's easier now to be a fan more than it has ever been. You can
Hmm.
literally get on the internet and buy anything for your favorite thing. You guys were talking about the Warner Brothers store, and the search for merch, as we call it, back in the day, and how hard it was because there really wasn't anything. I had a T-shirt.
Hmm. It was
I think
hard
that
back
was
in the day.
probably I think that was probably it. I had a book. I mentioned having a poster on my wall that I got in trouble for at the outset of this recording.
I
Yeah, I
find the
don't.
search fun. It's fun just
Oh yeah,
searching. Like I am
yeah,
all about searching for
yeah. Well,
anything,
clearly,
especially clearly,
Hmm.
I was gonna
especially
say,
She's
my
good at
you
range.
it.
say that with the full background of everything behind you. It's a little easier to believe.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is
Yeah,
many
I do
years.
enjoy the search. Yeah. So what are let's talk about that, because you really do have some amazing pieces. What is your, I mean, rivaling, I think, Metropolis, Illinois, definitely. What are some of your favorite items? Because I'm just peering through at everything you have there.
Ooh, it's hard to pick. Like I
Uh huh.
have let's see, I've got Kryptonian outfits. I've got a
I remember
Honeymoon in
where I
Metropolis
was.
towel.
I remember where I was when the night those episodes aired.
Yeah.
The new
So I have
episode.
his mother's outfit, which I love, with the Superman crest on the front. That one's pretty
Sweet.
good. I have the Lois Lane license plates up here,
Jeeps,
which I really like.
Yeah. I also
I
wanted
don't
to
know if
drive.
you can see the tombstone. I have a tombstone over
see
here
the
that says
tombstone,
Superman.
at least the top of it. Yeah. I also wanted to drive a Jeep Grand Cherokee because of
Yes, I always wanted a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
I did that as well.
Nice.
That's probably the only two claims to fame I have. So the tombstone is from the is from the show. I mean,
it is from the show. Yes,
that is legitimately a prop from the show. Okay, that's incredible. You've got a director's chair back there. Is that for anybody specific
chair.
or just
it is for the director of the last episode.
Wow.
So I have that.
She has all the scripts, at least one version of every script.
Yeah. That's incredible. And
newspapers.
Newspapers. As far as the costumes go, did they all held up pretty well?
Yeah, they still look pretty good. Yep.
Wow. That's good.
They're hard to find, but I do have a few.
Do you have your own insurance policy for that room like I have to have for this room?
I did add on to our insurance policy. Yes, I did. Absolutely.
My studio
I have an entire room of stuff, so yes.
Yeah.
For
my
sure.
studio is separate, is not attached to my house. It's on the property, and yeah, my insurance agent was like, "We're gonna up everything because this is a secondary building." And you
definitely
all
did
of these things. Yeah, good call.
I would be so upset if anything happened.
Don't get me started. I think about the things I have lost over the years, and that makes me sad. But Jenn and Molly, is she sharing the wealth with any of you? Do you have anything to yourselves?
She was very nice. She told me about an auction of a crew bag, and she's like, I already have it. Do you want to go after it? And it belonged to Kay Callan, Martha Kent. So I went after that one, and I got that one. So I do have a few things, but yeah. And then Jenn, she did her Marie Kondoing a few years ago, and she sent me a lot of her stuff, including her VHS tapes that she had recorded over the years. So I still have those, and I just digitized most of the promos off of those. So thank you, Jenn. They both share.
Excellent. As far as the future, again, we say Lois has been around, and I intended to drive this more into a Lois Lane conversation, but I think it turned more into the three of you conversation. But that's fine by me because I really enjoy getting your take on things and hearing your backstories. But for a character that has been around for almost 90 years and will be around long after we are gone, what do you hope that the character means to not just women, but people in the future, and specifically Teri's version of the character? What do you hope people remember that for long down the line? We'll go backwards again. Julie.
For Teri's character, just that she was a fierce, independent woman, take action. She didn't need Clark. She didn't need Superman. She was her own person. She was already handling everything herself. She was already an award-winning journalist at that point. So, yeah, she wasn't the typical, like you said earlier, stereotypical damsel in distress. She didn't need him. She actually helped him. They made each other better, more complete.
That's
were
partners
what I liked.
Through and through. What about you, Jenn?
I mean, I completely agree with everything that Julie said. She was just this, this powerhouse that she was able to do all the things that, as a little girl, I was like, oh, I want to be able to do that too. So I feel like she's just someone to look up to and to admire. She's strong, she's smart, but she brought a lot to the table on the show. And like Julie said, they made a really good team. So I think hopefully the Superman series, however it develops over the years, hopefully they can continue with the teamwork and just build on that.
Molly, what about you?
I really appreciate how so many, especially our modern Loises, I mean, I'm not saying the old ones weren't, but especially our modern Loises, how just intelligent and just an inspiration they are, because they aren't scared. They go for what they want. I mean, watching that as a 13-year-old girl with anxiety, I was just like, I can't believe this woman is so brave. This woman says things to Clark that I would never, or says things to other people that I would never dare say to other people. And then she goes for what she wants. And sometimes she has a few bumps along the way. Sometimes she makes some decisions that don't go her way, but her effort is there and her tenacity is there. And I hope that Lois never stops having that. I mean, I'm sure she won't, but I also hope that it's appreciated going forward by future generations, and that maybe even when, 50 years in the future, women or girls are watching it, they don't think, wow, this is a really forward woman. We'd think, and this is normal. This is totally normal. This is just how women are. We're not like back. They don't maybe have to see what we saw, where if you watch some of those early 90s shows and other movies where there is still a lot of sexism, and you're like, oh goodness. And there's even it's an issue that is brought up on Lois and Clark, where Lois faces some of that and some of that. So I would hope that it would be Lois is seen as tenacious, and it's totally normal.
I couldn't say it better myself. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume all three of you, Teri is your favorite. I'm going to assume it's Jenn's, definitely. But for the rest of you, Molly's wavering? Yes?
I think about the other ones. I like, no. Teri's the best because there's no contest. But that doesn't mean the other ones, there's not good ones. There's other good ones.
Right, of course. Well, that was gonna lead to my next question, is if you had to name a second, who you would put.
Probably
I think that also says a lot about Erica.
Erica. She grew on me. At first, I was skeptical.
Really?
Just because I am so Teri Hatcher. Yeah. Teri Hatcher will always be number one, no matter what. But Erica definitely grew on me. I liked her sarcastic personality. She was great.
I agree. What about you, Molly?
I like Kate Bosworth a lot.
Thank you.
I know she was supposed to sort of just
a lot to me. Thank you.
I know she was supposed to be sort of like a continuation of the Margot Kidder character, so there wasn't a whole lot she could do too differently from that. I do agree that even though I didn't regularly watch Smallville past like season 3, I have seen episodes from later on where Erica and Tom are together, and they have some chemistry. I will admit that. I mean, maybe I should go watch those episodes.
I highly recommend it, but I am also a little biased. But we're all excited for Rachel. It sounds like, though. I know I am. I don't want to speak for you, but I am so excited to see her. I loved her in Miss Maisel. I think she has that tenacity you were just talking about, Molly. But I'm excited to see journalism brought back into the forefront a little bit here. I'm excited to see a fully rounded out Planet staff. Top to bottom.
That just seems to be ignored a lot in anything, like especially Man of Steel. There was just nothing.
Yeah. It's just,
nothing.
It was very brief and not well rounded at all. I mean, I love what they're doing with Kat here. To see Steve Lombard being well utilized, it doesn't hurt that that's Beck Bennett, who I absolutely love from Saturday Night Live and myriad other things. But no, I'm excited for Rachel because I think just as Teri was, she's going to be this new generation's Lois. She's going to be an introduction to Lois Lane like she was for some of you, and I think that's so important for this. I don't want to say franchise because it's more than a franchise after 90 years, but this legacy, for lack of a better word, is that there's going to be future generations that latch on somewhere on the timeline. So I'm excited to learn where the three of you latched on and became fans. And that's why I think your podcast works so well together. And I've enjoyed listening and will enjoy to continue to listen. Thankfully, I know those episodes pretty much by heart, so I don't always have to watch along. But it's giving me a good excuse to. And the Blu-ray coming down the pipeline is not going to hurt either. Tell our listeners where they can find you all.
Well, we are on Instagram, Folks Forever. We are also on Facebook, Folks Forever, and Blue Sky, Folks Forever. I don't know why I just said that 3 times, but yeah, we're Folks Forever.
And I should say, if anybody hasn't listened yet, it is Folks with a C, fans of Lois and Clark.
Fans of Lois and Clark.
Yes, yeah. And as far as the podcast goes, I'm sure listen wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yep, we are pretty much everywhere, I think. Right, Molly?
I think maybe there's one or two that haven't connected yet, but if anybody wants us to connect to those, I will make a point to do that. But yeah, we're on most of them.
Definitely. Check them out on the heavy hitters. Subscribe, leave them a rating and review while you're at it. Definitely, if you're listening via Apple or Spotify. Thank you so much, the three of you, for giving of your time and doing this. It means a lot to me. I'm always excited to meet new people that also met because of these characters. So I was really looking forward to this, and you did not disappoint. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yes.
Thank you.
As far as the House of L, of course, you can always find us wherever you social media at Super House of L and the House of L podcast, wherever you listen. We're online at superhouseofl.com, and you can email us mail at superhouseofl. I have totally messed that up. I blame Jenn for saying hers 3 times. Superhouseofl.com, and you can email us mail at superhouseofl.com. Also, remember, if you are in the Cleveland area, and if you're not in the Cleveland area and you just want to be in the Cleveland area to see the backdrop of the city of Metropolis for the new film, join us at the Capitol Theater on Friday, July 11th for our special screening of Superman, benefiting the Siegel and Schuster organization. They're in Cleveland, Ohio, trying to make Tribute Plaza a reality with the new Superman and Lois statues that are being built, and will hopefully be unveiled very, very soon. We're reaching that goal. So if you want to become a donor for the society, supermanstatuecleveland.org is the way to do that. Donate. You get a nifty little membership card in the mail. I don't have mine nearby. It's behind me. Not going to reach for it. But you can see them online, and you can do that at supermanstatuecleveland.com. But if you are going to join us Friday, July 11th, Capitol Theater, head over to Capitol Theater, TheaTre, Cleveland.com, and purchase tickets for the 7:10 p.m. screening on Friday, July 11th. That is how you will get in with us for the live podcast and joined by Brian and Michael Bendis. Sorry to go through all of that with 3 of you sitting here, but it is what you got to do. Thank you again, and please subscribe, listen to Folks Forever, and join us for our next episode of the Summer of Superman as we lead up to the July 11th release of James Gunn's Superman. Good night, everybody.